Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenWeapons.com. I'm Ian. I'm here today at the James Julia Auction House up in Maine, and I'm taking a look at some of the guns that they're going to be selling in their March of 2016 auction. And there's one up there that isn't really technologically different. It's actually a fairly common model of gun. This is a Colt 1851 Navy percussion revolver, often considered to be one of the most elegant handguns ever made. There are an awful lot of them made, very much copied. There are a couple interesting things about this one, most notably, first off, as you can obviously see, it has a shoulder stock on it. Original stocked Colt percussion revolvers are not particularly common. The stocks are quite valuable. It's kind of cool. You can actually get reproductions of them today. And you know, it's worth taking a minute to talk about the fact that with a stock like this, a pistol actually becomes a significantly improved firearm. With a revolver, of course, you have to keep both hands back behind the cylinder, but you can actually get a substantial improvement in accuracy by adding a shoulder stock like this, even if you still have a short pistol barrel. What's happening specifically is you're getting a third point of contact in your shoulder, in addition to the two hands, or sometimes one hand, on the gun, and that really does help. Having shot some guns like this, yeah, it's pretty cool. Now, it wasn't a hugely popular idea. It's a little bit awkward. You have to, if you're going to use it like this, you have to carry around the stock with you. A lot of more modern pistols, what they did is they actually turned the stock into a holster. So you could strap the stock on your belt and actually carry the gun in the stock. That makes things a lot more convenient to tote around. Colt didn't do that. It bolts on. So the stocks themselves aren't that common. Well, this particular stock is even less common because it's this goofy Colt idea. You know, you can't fault the guy for having creative ideas, but this one certainly didn't become commercially viable. And that is, the stock is also a canteen. It's made from two pieces of wood split lengthwise, and there is a pewter canteen inside with a little cap right here on the comb of the stock. So you could fill that with water or perhaps whiskey or some other adult beverage and have that with you. Like I said, obviously this didn't take off commercially, or you'd see a lot more of them around today, but they did sell some. In fact, there's one record of an order going out to a whole batch of pistols that were being taken out to the Arizona territory at the time. And hey, you know, having a little extra water with you when you're out in Arizona, I live there, I know that's not a bad idea. At any rate, that's not where the interesting element of this particular pistol ends, because right here on the top of the stock is an inscription. F.W.H. Sheffield, with compliments of Colonel Colt. So it's not every day that you get a personally presented gun from Colonel Sam Colt himself to somebody. This pistol was made based on the serial number in 1857, and if you do a little bit of looking on the name F.W.H. Sheffield, you'll find that he was a banker in Dubuque, Iowa, which, okay, not a particularly notable name, doesn't have any obvious connection. However, it appears that he actually was originally a native of Connecticut and moved out of Connecticut in approximately 1857. So the suspicion, and there isn't any documentation of this, although someone might be able to find some, but the suspicion is that he probably knew Colt through some financial connection or arrangement and had some interaction with Colt's company and was given this presentation revolver when he set out from Connecticut for the Midwest. So a cool piece of history. In addition to the inscription on the stock, if you take the stock off, which we'll do in just a moment, there's a matching, not a full inscription, but the man's initials are on the backstrap of the revolver. So let's take a closer look at this. You know, a canteen stock and a presentation pistol aren't things that you see every day, so let's get a closer look. So, you know, some modern, or well, more modern than this, holster stocks on pistols can be kind of uncomfortable to use. They often have a length of pull that's a little bit too short. But in this case, because they weren't trying to do anything extra with the stock, well, except for the canteen that we'll get to, they were able to design this with a proper full length of pull. And this is actually a fairly comfortable pistol to shoulder, and I suspect would be quite pleasant to shoot. Now you'll notice there are a couple of sling swivels here, and there has been one actually also added to the pistol itself. So clearly this was intended to be carried as a stocked item. So the attachment mechanism is such that there are a couple of cutouts on the recoil shields of the pistol right here, and then there's a bolt that hooks into a lug on the bottom of the grip and has this tensioning screw on top. So to take the stock off, we unscrew this. You can see that the bolt down here is opening up. Take it to about there, and then that slides right off the pistol. So here's our inscription on the back. A little bit hard to read, it's kind of small engraving, but F.W.H. Sheffield with compliments of Colonel Colt. So pretty slick. And then this, of course, is our tensioning screw, and then up here we have the cap for the canteen. See, that's hollow inside. This would have been, there's a pewter canteen shell inside there. If you look very closely, you can see, let's see, right there, you can see the seam in the wood. And it's a little more evident on the bottom because the wood is shrunk a little bit and opened up behind the sling swivel. But in front, you can just make out the seam there as well. So this originally was two pieces of wood split down here that they would clamp together over the canteen body and then stick on a butt plate and some hardware up here. Now the revolver itself is really in extremely nice condition for its age. It's got these two little cutouts under the recoil shield so that it will fit the stock, and then extended bolts here to provide some contact points for the stock. And if we look up close at the back strap, you can see Sheffield's initials right there engraved in. Oh, quite nice. And here's a closer view of that sling swivel added just in front of the trigger guard of the revolver. So, handy thing to add, makes the gun easier to carry. You wouldn't want a sling swivel up here because, of course, the loading lever gets in the way, and you do also have powder blast coming out the cylinder gap, which could damage a sling. So better to have it mounted just behind. Well, thank you for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I certainly find this a really cool combination of a bunch of interesting factors. It's a rare style of pistol with a shoulder stock on it, as well as being a presentation gun. And hey, you know, it's an 1851 Navy. Those are gorgeous guns to begin with. So it is, of course, coming up for sale. So if you're interested in owning it yourself, take a look at the description text below. You'll find a link to the Julia catalog page on this piece. You can read their description, see their high-res pictures, and if you're interested, place a bid online right through the website. Thanks for watching.